Greetings and welcome. So I'm going to just take a breath to connect with the heart. Allow anybody who wants to join live to be here. So being with stillness in the movement, with the breath, our breath, for we are all breathing. If we just take a few moments, that's a strange phrase, however I will go on, to be aware of not just hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of breaths. In each millisecond, there is an in-breath, a pause, and an out-breath over and over and over again. And within each of this, so many thoughts. And within each of this, so many emotions, so many feelings. Each of us having our own rhythm, our own unique sound, our own vibration. The Angelics gifted me a message this morning. And as I am here, it's very interesting when we feel profundity. We feel this physically. Our breath may shorten. We feel an expectation within our heart space, at the center of our chests. It is curious, is it not, that when we feel such bliss, such happiness, joy, the body, our emotions, feelings are at that cusp, that edge. And we feel brought to tears. And tears we can shed when we are in joy and bliss as well as in sadness and grief. There is that paradox. Between these apparent polar opposites. And so, I have this question which consciously and unconsciously I've been asking. Why? Even though I've had many answers, and still I seek another answer. But there isn't another answer. So I go back to me and the question. why all this suffering? And that's a pretty big question. And yet, if there was not a purpose to pain, there would be no physical realm. And there is such beauty here. And so we are invited, even though we may feel that constraint, which is different from the grip of the fist that contracts our heart when we're in the resonance of fear. That weight is the wisdom of the heart, breaking, cracking open with the alive remembering of how beautiful we are, life is. I'm getting to what the Angelics said to me. Hello, Nikki. So the Angelics, they relayed this message, and they said, individually and in groups and as humanity, you will, in divine timing, understand this. But we give you this message knowing you will, and it's all perfect, by the way, that you will not fully comprehend this through the mind. And so they said, you can relay this message to them, but please convey energetically through light language as well. So I'm going to start with light language to communicate this beautiful energy, and there may be an expansiveness of more information that drops in that can really help assist to embody this. So let's take a deep breath and let ourselves just relax. Moyet iar kut oisk iana at ukoya hana ar kut oeti here. Kotoya here at iaha. Here you are with us. Ut oeki iat ar oi here. Kiana ar tutoro at ar Han hartet kukoetia. Hartet tishkumo ia hanna. Artuk ia. Artuk iat. Arkukayamat ia. Do not, we know you do, but we invite you not to fear yourself, not to fear each other, to orkukuitia. And so you individually and collectively are facing your own shadows. There are collective ascended beings that have, if you like, using your way of seeing us, there are collective ascended beings that have risen up to our dimensional frequency for the purpose of assisting you at this time. The earth is becoming the eye of source, to envision you are coming together to co-create what you are describing as new earth. Now this coming together is new. This coming together is not being singular and then singular beings grouped together. Neither is it the singular beings dissolving and not holding their own awareness, their own consciousness. There is a coming together of group consciousness, which is bringing in a collective angelic monadic frequency, the monad, that is already in the angelic. This, you could say, is a collective higher self angelic frequency. And this angelic frequency acts also as a vessel to carry you forward. You are part of humanity. You have ancestors that span lifetime. And you may wonder where your ancestors are. There is a flowering of many, many hearts. As you dare courageously, lovingly, compassionately to softly, gently, lovingly embrace the shadow, when you no longer fear yourselves, when you no longer believe the false idea of disgust, of distortion. Allowing yourselves to wander freely beyond the paths of certainty. And so we were bringing in the energy so that you could feel the cusp between the joy and bliss and sadness and grief. And you hold that heart opening, that cusp, that edge, which is infinite. And so you are infinite because you hold the paradox. There are no edges, and yet there are. We are here to hold you as you face, which you fear facing yourselves. You fear seeing yourselves, and yet each of you have been learning, and each of you remembering that the fear is limited unto itself. Fear is limited unto itself. Fear contracts. narrows, limits. And also, we are sending this message that fear itself also is evolving, for all is energy. Nothing is separate, and yet there is integrity and sentience in all things. And so there will be wisdom in all things. There is wisdom in all emotion. Everything is held. Everything is at home. We understand that there may be a fear of looking, maybe a terror of not being held. And with the light, for there is this experience in the physicality that you can be blinded by no light. You cannot see from your visual eyes, and you can be blinded by too much light. And yet, there are those who have seen through their hearts to the heart of the sun. They are able to walk on hot embers, not burning their feet. And so, there is that magic occurring. There is this divine sparkle coming alive first, and that is the profound experience of being in this physical. There is a beginning and an ending and a beginning. When there are these beginnings, which is connected to the whole, but when there are these beginnings, you have the opportunity to experience the wonder of creation in a way you could not experience in any other way. And there is always a paradox, because there's always light and dark, and that paradox is that in between, and you are all becoming conscious, embodying the in between. Sovereign, the merging of the apparent polar opposites, and so you are shifting and evolving the physical realm and dimension. You speak of unity consciousness because there is that divine spark within each of you, your soul, that resonates within this, and yet there, within this, you are expanding. You are expanding. Your soul is expanding within the apparent confines of your physical. And so individually, you have your communications which overlap consciously, unconsciously with other individuals. And there are layers and layers of your energetic bodies that go into vastness of dimensions. And at one layer, there is a collective occurrence of an angelic frequency, a collective intention, song that is being filtered down through the song opening of your hearts. And so there is a coming together, you, individuals, in groups and community, where you will experience together something. I just got to put the battery in. There we go. And they gave me a nudge, and I needed to put the battery in there. So many of you look to saviours from our resonance, the angelic, to ascended masters, from source, from guides, be they originating from many, many places, planets, moons, suns, and maybe not planets. And there is this divine gathering connected to your souls that is occurring at a higher frequency, that is reflecting each of you individually as well as collectively. As this collective harmonious symphony comes down to show who you are when you gather together as a group in a certain frequency, you will experience such unconditional love. The Northern Lights are key to this, because that is part of the veil, the dance of the veil, the in-between that occurs because of the solar flares, and the sun, the solar logos, is more than just the sun that you see in your sky. So you are arriving at a moment in time where you will feel a telepathic connection with others. You will feel called to gather with others. You may be called to move across land, ocean. And so wherever you are will be in perfection to who you are, unique. But there will be this moment, and this moment will open up to experiencing beyond linear time in a new way. So you are holding yourselves, not just individually, but collectively. And there will be choices, more choices, that you will be aware of when you come to this threshold. And this is what we wanted to convey. So, beautiful, beautiful souls, I'm hearing the pitter-patter of my little Bella. I think she wants to go out, and I did feel this was going to be a short transmission. So, just wanted to end with reading from the Tree Angel Oracle, because I went down a path I hadn't been down before. I had a sense that it may not be a circular route, and it wasn't. However, I ended up arriving at a golf course on the other side of this hill mountain that I live on. And I thought, oh, you know, I can't go on, you know, I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to retrace my steps back. And then I saw one oak tree. I thought, oh, that's an old oak tree. And then I saw another oak tree, which was like, wow, that's magnificent. Each time getting bigger. And I saw another one, and I'm like, wow, I mean, the energy of that one was phenomenal. And then in the middle of this, golf courses are just so extraordinary. The mowing of the grass to make it so smooth. And there, by this, I don't know, this golf course, was this mighty oak. This mighty, mighty oak. Extraordinary, and I've taken photographs. So I wanted to pick this up and look up oak, which is interesting, number 7. And to read from, I've had this for many years. My goodness, I've had this a long time. Yeah, a long, long time. But when I do feel drawn to read from this, it's always profound. So the oak. The source of the life force nourishes your deepest roots. With vitality, will, and power, make the world your own. But soft, hear the secret of success. Care for those in need. Bring tenderness where emptiness once ruled. Wow. And I was thinking, when I was channeling there just before with the Angelics, they were tuning into, they were saying, you can face your fears, because the fears is just an illusion, but obviously fear is so painful to experience, but it is limited. Love is infinite. And I thought, you know, we can fear many things. Some people fear being alone, and it can, and images can come to us that represent what we feel is the biggest fear. And once I had this dream where I looked down, and down there was this bottomless pit. When I look up to the sky and the stars, it doesn't have that feeling, even though there's infinite darkness. So that pit actually has a frequency and is not infinite. But what was there was this feeling of not being held. And when I tune into that, the word exile comes in. So it's getting underneath and underneath and underneath, interestingly enough. And that's when the energies can pull at us, because they can present us with the pit, for instance. But that, though, because it's so dramatic and can incite such visceral, energetic reaction that is immobilizing, freezing, and contracting, we don't feel able to soften. And so with this oak, the oak gives us strength. So interesting, when I'm really focusing on, because beings are vast. And so I've been focusing, really tuning into the 4 solar angels of the apocalypse, and then tuning into a divine soul reading codex, and there's angelic frequency that came in straight away. And so I've been very, very much within focusing on that frequency in beings. And so then when I was called to this oak, because that's also what went on, without me knowing, but I was, I've lived here 5 years and I've never gone down that path higher. And so that feels so holding, because during the channeling, they're also saying the trees, the soul vibration of the trees are now rising up or coming out. More people will be connected with soul vibration of trees, the angelic deva frequencies also. If you look at the aura of a tree, some people can see the deva of the tree. And this is what this beautiful, it's an oracle, it has cards with it. So care for those in need. Bring tenderness where emptiness once ruled. There is hardly another living thing in the biosphere with the vitality and sheer life force of an oak tree. People of all times have known this, and whole cultures searched out its presence. They drew great power from this king of trees, but unfortunately often misuse this power to conquer and make war with others. Oh my goodness. The oak tree is associated with the planet Mars, which is often too hastily identified with the god of war. Originally and for many centuries, Mars was actually the god of farming and the protector of house and homestead. Well, Mars was once a lush planet, and then there was a disaster. And so we have this deep collective become a fear that need not, and it's not going to happen here. But how interesting, because you have God of, war, destruction. But when we feel ourselves or others have been violated, crossed a boundary, not respected, threat of danger, of harm, that is what causes war. And so how we can feel at home, safe. They go on here, it was simply from its role as defender that at its warlike aspect came to the fore. Indeed, oak is at home in this broad spectrum of human associations because its energy is broadly neutral. What we do with it lies in our own hands. When we are truly open-hearted in that heart neutrality, beyond judgment, we can truly see and observe the full spectrum of life experience. I've never read this before, because when I would pick cards from here, I'd always get the same cards. So it's interesting. I did get the same card. I chose oak, and then I shuffled it, and then the same card came out. The gift of the oak angel is to be filled with energy and power. Success is assured. We become confident and strong in body and mind. We can fight if we have to, and also protect those whom we love. With the medicine of oak, we do so with great integrity. It's very interesting, given what we're all experiencing. Without the blessings of oak, we are taken hostage by lethargy, fear, and exhaustion. Weakness, laziness, and despondency meet with general failure. What's the point? Yeah, hopelessness. In society, this plays out as spineless opportunism and blind obedience. Warriors become soldiers and farmers civil servants. If we are totally cut off from oak, darkness and depression ensue, lies and betrayal follow. And we're seeing all this really coming to the forefront at this moment. Wow. Is this the image? That's a huge old oak. It's like kind of almost like a stag. This stag face there. Trying to not get the reflection of the sun, the lamp. That's number 7. Okay, wow. Profound message that really, really connects with what I was channeling in from the angels. I did also pick, the card that I picked with shuffling was Holly, and look at that. That's another divine masculine, sacred masculine, with the light that's coming down there. Let's see what, because holly did catch my eye today because I saw the red berries on the holly, which is interesting. Okay, this is a message from the angel, Holly angel. Clarify your intent, expose your fears. It's all tying in with what I was channeling with the angels. Trust in your inner voice and take courage. The sword pierces the veil. Truth is double-edged, merciless yet full of love. Wow. And he's being very, I mean, he's beautifully gentle but very focused. He is the sword there, the sword of light. We all know that holly is prickly, which we may not like, but this is not any old thorn, but a barb that spurs us on with an impulse to wake us up. Like the clearly defined leaves of this tree, we will suddenly be able to see the most varied of things with clarity and good judgment. Perhaps we still experience painful disappointments, but at the same time we also gain a hitherto untapped power. With this power we can take up the sword of truth and spiritually cut through the veil of illusion that was clouding our discernment. With holly we outgrow our fears. This was so spot on what I was channeling. And start to work with a new clarity that life is not just black and white, good and bad. With holly's medicine we can recognize the variety of hues in our rich and often complex lives. Holly therefore often marks a crossing or a turning point and shows a renewed energy and a deeper personal integrity. Trust, 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 trust yourselves, ourselves, trust. Maybe we are having our human eye vision switched off, dialed down. I find that with this AI, because when you look at things and you can tell by the stories, even if it's a photograph or a small video, the story themselves have an energy. And so then I do not look with my eyes, I feel with my other senses and my heart. And so we see through all the other senses as well. And so we are fine-tuning our vision in these times. With the being of Holly at our side, we can do spiritual battle if we have to. And regardless of whether we win or lose, we can maintain our poise and higher purpose. Yet beware. This blessed sword will only remain in our care to serve us on our unique path to truth. It is not there to scare off others. It is not there to injure, but to aid perception. In this way, Holly's sword is double-edged and will reflect our own actions back to us. I find that with dog beings. So with Bella here, I am very, very conscious of myself, very conscious of my emotions, my energy, how I'm communicating, but how I am. So the gift, she's a very, very sensitive, gentle being. They all are, but she is very sensitive. And so you wouldn't think she was like Holly, but she is, because her gentleness, her unconditional love, asks that I take responsibility for my actions, my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts. That is what purity, innocence, unconditional love can do. Light, when we're with light in that way, it can be painful. It can illuminate the darkness. And so they were also relaying to me today that there is always balance in the multiverse, the universe. Where there is light, there is dark. And how we can come into tune with that and be conscious creators is to be aware that there is always balance. And so that neutrality, that earlier on when I was talking about paradox, that still place. It's like we're holding the scales, and then I'm sort of reminded of that, and I can't remember her name, so I'm having a moment with my brain. But that goddess, the ancient Egypt goddess, she holds the scales, and she has a feather. You always know when she's around, she has a feather. Without the power of Holly, we remain in half light, illusion, and fantasy. And sometimes that does feel preferable, because with the light, we are being invited to take responsibility, and that is sovereignty. We cast our eyes around our self-made world and just look to our own advantage. That's when we're caught in this half-light illusion. Finally, we even become cowards to ourselves. Oh dear, that's all rather depressing. So Holly is illuminating, assisting. Makes me think of also Archangel Michael as well there. Number four, stability, structure, holding, balance. Also, you know, for a home, you got the, feels like also the pillars, the four posts. Okay, so she settled, so that's why I'm going on a little bit longer, which is cool. I'm going to pick one card from David Matau. David Matau, beautiful man, artist, visionary. Met him in Spain when I went to the conference. And again, light and dark. It was a scam. However, it meant that I had a wonderful time meeting beautiful people as well. And I wouldn't have seen these beautiful pieces of art. He's coming to Glastonbury in June. He doesn't speak any English. I don't speak any Spanish. But I did send a message to him. I think I'm going to send wait a little while, maybe send another message via maybe my friend who speaks English and Spanish to ask her to speak to him in Spanish. Yes, because his art is so beautiful. Anyway, I got it. He's made an oracle pack, and I bought the oracle pack when I was in Spain, Barcelona. What do we got? Oh, so I'm sure that's because it's in Spanish, but I made a translated book. I think it's Archangel Plenty, generosity, love. I think that's vitality, beauty. Right, that's the image, and it looks like a tree. Look at that. Looks like a big oak, and you've got sun and moon there. Look at that. I think he's coming with his partner, his wife. Right, let's see. You can follow him on Instagram. Yes, I think that the Archangel of Abundance. It's Archangel of Abundance. Okay. You are full of love, generosity, vitality, joy, beauty, and wisdom. When you relate to full awareness in every moment of your life, you can feel the profound feeling of abundance. Be yourself. I've been really thinking that. Oh, we love it when people are so unique. I do. Others do. You are authentic, unique, and precious. You are complete. Everything you need is inside of you. Connect with your profound love, beauty, and wisdom and manifest them. When you are connected with full awareness at each moment of your life, you can feel a profound feeling of abundance. You feel satisfied, generous, relaxed, loving, grateful, happy, strong, powerful, full of vitality. We've got vitality again, as we did with the oak, and brimming with joy. You are connected to heaven and earth, connected with the infinite universe, and connected to your magical and beautiful essence. The Archangel of Abundance inspires you to be always yourself. You are genuine, unique, and valuable as you are. You are complete without having to do anything extraordinary or important. That's such a freeing thing. When I took with all the grief that I was experiencing, when I took I couldn't, I was just in grief, so I couldn't do anything like this. But then with that became a freedom, because I came back, obviously changed through all the experiences, and now I was like, I'm not seeking that ego validation in the way. I mean, it's still there because I'm still working with clearing my ego, wounded ego, you can say wounded inner child. It's, I'm still very conscious of that, but huge parts was just lifted off me, because when that which we love dies, is no longer here in the physical, it really does shake us up to what matters and what is love and being in the now moment, and life is precious and everything. Everything is in you, nothing is lacking in you. Once you recognize who you truly are, where you come from, and where are you headed. Connect with your deep love, beauty, and wisdom. Develop and manifest them in your life. Let your true essence, the pure and pleasant fragrance of your soul, spread through the world. Remember that you are not only in the world to be powerful and supportive tree, connected with the earth, giving life and refuge to the many beings that love you. This is really connected to oak. You are also a sacred chalice that can open like a beautiful flower and receive the infinite gifts and blessings that the universe is waiting to offer you. Let them pour over you and be absorbed by every cell in your body. So we don't just drink in, or I'll just drink it. And like sometimes, I remember when I was actually going to Bosnia, so I went via 2 other countries right next door, Croatia and Serbia. So I did a little road trip, and I was staying with some people in Croatia, and I haven't had sugar for many, many years, including honey. And the hostess brought out some honey. And so I can't have that. I'm not able to have sugar at the moment, even honey. And it was local honey. And people were having toast, which also I couldn't have. And I could have gone into lack at that point. But people were, putting butter on their toast and then opened up this jar of honey, local honey, and spreading it, and then just eating it. Wonderful. No criticism. And I said, can I have the honey? And they're like, the quizzical face was pulled by somebody and handed me the pot of honey. Of course, if you smell the cells, part of the cells, you breathe them in, there will be physical elements of the honey that we can breathe in. And so I breathed in the smell of this honey. Oh my gosh, because they, being Croatia, we were way out in the countryside, and so it's all very organic and locally sourced, and from a beekeeper who, loved the bees. So the bees are really, you've got that the golden nectar of life. Oh, it's exquisite, and I was satiated. I didn't need to eat the honey. And so I said to people, stop eating now. It's cool, you've got to smell it. Have you smelled the honey? And there were people like, no. I said, it's a bit like, when we go on a fast, when you then have the first taste after the fast, it's because then our senses have not been overloaded. And I feel, again, that's another message that's coming through. That's why I'm telling this tale of the light and dark, and there being that balance. And so that's also, I think, I feel a spiritual purpose for fasting. And when we can fast in many ways. When we say, I'm going to go on retreat, I'm going to stop doing this thing, what it might be looking at the internet all the time, or the phone, or I mean, that's happened to me recently, so no, I'm not going to keep doing that. And then I've had to give up chocolate because I'm during my menopause. It was I was getting heart palpitations because of the caffeine in the dark chocolate. It was 90% chocolate, and I wasn't eating. I was eating like a little square, but now I can't even have that. So I'm like, oh, it was my thing every day. I must have that dark chocolate because I have a very minimal diet at the moment. So it's like, it's my one thing. I must have the dark chocolate. And now it's like, no, not. I'm like, wow, how interesting is that? How we can become very addicted, attached. Anyway, I think that's all the beautiful messages, and I will post the images of the oak tree that I met today, and I'm just going to look at the messages. Let's see. Shanara, Ashara Era. I am a teardrop in the ocean of consciousness. Thank you so much, beautiful Zahara, celestial angel of love. We all are. We all are. Thank you. I love that. It's very aligned with Rumi quote. I think I've drawn enough cards. I'm thinking, I could get the Rumi oracle pack out. But I think I'm satiated now. I think we all are. Thank you very much. Oak boats. Oh, yeah, Alison. Yeah. Um, yes, oh, amazing. Hi, Nikki. Your words are making me cry. Suddenly I'm remembering all the sheer grid work I've put in. Yeah, I think it's amazing how we dismiss so much. There's so much sadness and grief that it's not any blaming us at all, but the more, that goes to my point of the more, and how far we have come. And I said the relayed. That's a bit more eloquent. I said I relayed this message from the Angelics that came through a couple of years ago, I think. That we are now in a life review while we're still alive here, which is wonderful because I'm just going to end on this. I keep thinking I'm going to end. Because when I was tuning into everything that's been occurring with the files and everything, and the shadow being released, and I was thinking, all these people, they're not going to have around them support. I think for them to fully, or even partially, maybe, I don't know, maybe some of them, to face what they've done, to face their shadow. And then I just had this wonderful relief and release and hope and joy and light, because I thought, well, when they die, they will be held with unconditional love and light in the heavenly realm. So they will be able to look at what they have done, how they've been. And they can't do that here down on earth. So some will need to do that and reincarnate, or whatever they will need to do to learn, make amends, or whatever they will need to do, basically. And some of them, they can't do this on this level, this dimension, how Earth is at this moment. And so this message that we're going through a life review collectively, and therefore many of us individually, can make, gives me such perspective of no wonder we're going through the layers and layers of the illumination of the shadow. And also, wow, it means that we've come so far that we are able to do this, not just individually, but collectively while we're here. We are not having to go through, and I don't think it's necessarily a negative, but that karmic cycle of rebirth, I don't think it's necessarily negative, but we're going into a new phase. But that's, I feel, was able to connect with in a deeper, lighter way with this the feeling of heavenly light, because my lovely friend Angela, when she came and visited me when her sister was clearing out her flat upstairs, and Angie was with me pretty much all day here. She came in and she was her essence. It's not that I saw it with my physical eyes, but she was glowing in light, pearlescent joy. And I'm like, I felt so grateful that it's almost like she took the trouble all the time to come in and be with me, because that was just so beautiful. That was just so beautiful and so real. And she was so happy. So yes, so that's that. Wanted to share that. So anyway, I will definitely end there because this has been an hour. So sending us all always lots and lots of love. I have it in my light intention to do a live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So I've done one on last Wednesday and now this is the Saturday. I will see how I feel when I reach every Wednesday and Saturday, but that's what I feel called to do. So sending us all lots and lots of love, my heart to your heart, and thank you for being you, and that's that, and yeah, lots of love on this Valentine's Day. Lots of love. Bye for now.